So in my last video talking about Resident Evil, I talked about briefly on the next remakes that are coming for Resident Evil, those being Code Veronica and Zero, and I know I didn't make my thoughts as clear as I wanted them to be, mostly because that video wasn't talking about remakes, so I want to make this video just to clarify it just a bit, also because I was planning to make a video about this anyway, but I just want to clarify this because there is a solid timeline roughly with all the rumors we've been getting about what we're going to get next, not just for remakes, but the Resident Evil future as a whole. So today's video, we're just going to be talking about what we're going to get after Requiem. Now, just as a disclaimer, this is rumors and speculation with a little bit of leaks tossed in there, so don't take this as 100% fact or confirmation. But with these leaks being as close as they were with the Resident Evil 3 remake right before it dropped in March of 2020, I think it's almost near certain, if not borderline, on the verge of being confirmed that we're going to get these next games as remakes, being Code Veronica and Zero respectively, coming out basically one after the other. Sort of what we saw with Resident Evil 2 and 3, we're going to see that again with Code Veronica in 2027, followed closely by Resident Evil 0 in 2028. Now, these rumors, again, could lead to anything. There could be a good chance they delay Zero for another year so that there's time to breathe, but it's almost likely at this point that Code Veronica is on track to release in 2027. Many of you might not know this, but Dusk Golem did leak that the development for these games were coming in 2024, so it's possible that the development for these games started all the way back then in roughly the middle of the year, probably a little bit after Resident Evil 4 Remake dropped. So 2023, 2024 is probably when development got started for both games, and I would be very surprised if I didn't see at least some sort of trailer or tease by the end of this year or next year, because this year is going to mostly be on Requiem, and then 2027 I could see going back to Claire and shifting back to Code Veronica. Now, what is really iffy here, I think, is going to be Zero, because Zero would be you're skipping around Resident Evil Remake, so you're going to go around that and instead focus on Zero. That's what I found to be a little less credible, but at the same time, it was leaked under project name Chamber that we will be getting Zero Remake coming after Code Veronica, so it just seems likely that these two are essentially the golden ones to be chosen for the next remakes. Now, what's also interesting is that apparently we were supposed to get an announcement for Code Veronica in 2026. So if this does happen, I would imagine it'll happen either at Games Fest, which would be long while after Requiem dropped, or we could see it at the end of the year at the Game Awards. We could see it around the same time as Requiem was announced back at the Game Awards in 2024. So we could see some stuff like that. But again, it's hard to tell at this point in time because, of course, they're focusing all in on Requiem. But the development on Code Veronica seems to be near completion. So I would imagine that a 2027, probably around the same time as Resident Evil 3 dropped, I would say March, April, around that time could be a good release date for that game, and it would also mark over a year since Requiem dropped, so it could be a pretty good day to drop Code Veronica if they do decide to drop it within the same pattern as they've done with Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 3. That's what I would imagine. That's what I kind of see happening, especially since they kind of want to build this momentum with more and more Resident Evil remakes. That's also something I'd like to talk about real quick here is the mainline titles for Resident Evil. I have not seen too many credible rumors pointing to a Resident Evil X or Resident Evil 10. So if there are any rumors regarding it, it's very minor right now, and we don't have any title for what this potential 10 could be, and that's of course way in the future beyond Requiem and Code Veronica and Zero. So when you're looking that far ahead, it is very hard to tell about the rumors regarding the 10th game. But what I'm thinking is, this is all speculation on my part regarding Resident Evil 10 and using what they said about interviews and things of that nature. I think that if there is going to be a 10th mainline game, it's not going to start a new trilogy, but it's going to be a conclusion, sort of trying to be Resident Evil 6 all over again, in the sense that you're going to get every fan favorite character all together for one last hurrah, and maybe that'll do something credible, but I don't know at this moment in time. And really, it seems like they want to avoid using the numbers. We actually haven't seen them use the numbers in ages, as far as I recall. They went with Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, then they went with Village instead of 8, and then now with 9 we're going with Requiem. And yes, they do have the numbers in the title, but they always go out of their way to have a subtitle said first. So if you look for a specific game, you'll see the subtitle of the game and not the actual number. So this might not seem like a whole lot, but what I'm trying to get at is that it seems like they want to avoid going with numbers past 9. So maybe with 10 we're not going to actually get a number, we're going to just get some sort of subtitle that'll connect the rest of the franchise together in hopefully a really good game. But again, that's all speculation on my part. There are no credible rumors to what I just said, other than the interviews regarding around the naming of Resident Evil, because they have said a couple of times that they want to avoid, or at the very least not go with a numbered title forever and ever, and Requiem is likely going to be the last to have a moniker with it, so Resident Evil 9, that will probably be the last we'll see of that, but that's not confirmed in any way. Back to more credible sources though, and not just pure speculation, it seems like the same actor for Star-Lord from the 2021 video game, Guardians of the Galaxy, they seem to be using him for Billy in the Resident Evil 0 remake, so John McLaren. It seems like they're going to be using him to play Billy, and for Claire in the Code Veronica remake, so they're going to stick with Stephanie for this game, which makes sense, and the face model they seem to be using from Death Island, so I don't see any changes here whatsoever. It seems like they're going to go relatively safe here, when it comes to the characters anyway, because there's no real need to change them. I know some people didn't really like how Claire was portrayed, but personally I don't have a problem with her, and I think she does just as well, if not a better job than the original, but I know that's a hot take. So these are just rumors, but just expect to see very similar casting going into the remake. Now this is where we really enter rumor territory, because at this point it seems like for story, Resident Evil 0 is going to receive many more changes than Code Veronica. Now, depending on how you feel about this could be a good or bad change. I know that Resident Evil 0 for the most part has been seen as pretty mediocre. I personally think it's pretty average, so if they are going to change the story and add significant elements here, it could be a good or bad sign for what's to come, as there's no rumors yet, but as I talked about in my previous Resident Evil video, there is likely a chance that Resident Evil 1 is going to receive a second remake, and that will follow the events of Resident Evil 0 to pretty much a T. So if that is the case, then you could expect to see some major changes here to tie up the events between 0 and 1. I imagine that 0 is probably going to receive much more of a clearer focus leading up into this remake so that it can be a smooth transition, as whenever this remake comes out, 2028, we could see Resident Evil 1 come out sometime between 2029 and 2031. I know that seems quite far away, but they are going to build this up as they finish the remakes, going essentially backwards now from Code Veronica to 0 and then back to 1. And then wherever it goes from there, we could see 5 and 6, but they really need to tie the beginning events together, because this is what's going to lead into the better or worse remakes. As we talked about, this could be a very good remake or very bad. So 0 is likely going to do a lot of development leading into that, especially with Rebecca and Billy, because this dynamic is, again, pretty mixed depending on who you ask. So these events are going to tie up together into the Resident Evil 1 remake. That's pretty much a near certainty. I think a lot of people were expecting that, but the rumors just seem to indicate they're going to add in some major characters that weren't there before, so that could be a huge change depending on who you ask. Now, what's funny to me about all these rumors is that it seems like 0 is going to receive the most changes out of any of the remakes, really, while Code Veronica might resemble a lot of its former self in many ways. Now, yeah, Code Veronica isn't exactly the most popular or game-changing of the games, but still, I was kind of expecting to see more rumors that were going to change it up a little bit, but it seems it's going to be relatively faithful, borderline almost like a remaster, but of course it's going to receive many quality of life updates, and I'm certain there's going to be level designs that are changed. But relatively speaking, with all the rumors in mind and speculation, it seems like Code Veronica will resemble a lot of its original self before coming out as a remake. Now, speaking on that, before we wrap up this video, Code Veronica will likely be announced sometime this year if it's going to meet in 2027, while Resident Evil 0 will be announced sometime next year in preparation to release in 2028 if rumors are right on these release dates. So I would keep your eyes up for more Capcom content going into this year and even next year. Maybe even at the Game Awards we could see something. But if these games are coming out on time as rumors suggest, then that means we're going to get 2026 with RE9, 2027 with Code Veronica, and 2028 with Resident Evil 0. So there's going to be plenty of Resident Evil coming our way, and that's just the content we know about. These are just the current rumors. If there are more updates, I'll let you guys know in the comments, and of course on my community page. You can check that out. I'll be leaving updates about this as well on my Twitter. So that's most of the rumors I have for you today. I'm sorry this video is a bit of a shorter one. I wanted to talk about more, but really it seems like rumors seem to be pointing to the same things. So I wanted to kind of get it in one video just so you guys know and are up to date if they do decide to announce it before this video even comes out, which is highly unlikely. They're going to do more Requiem marketing, and then we're going to go into Code Veronica. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I could always use a new addition to the Dark Ops army. We are this close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you would like to share, that would be amazing. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is Dark Ops. I'll see you guys next time.